Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast Live. Yes. And joining me tonight, as you can see, is my main man, Big Red from the Last Rewind podcast. What's good, Big Red?
What's going on, man? Everything's good over here.
All right. No doubt. So we got some good topics for you tonight. We're going to talk about, of course, Jaylen Brown and whether or not he was snubbed for the third time this past season, this time being not named the replacement for Kawhi Leonard on the men's basketball team for the Olympics. Then we're going to talk Kawhi Leonard and kind of maybe a career retrospective, but not quite. But we're definitely going to talk about Kawhi. Then we're going to get into some ridiculous comments made by Colin Cowherd regarding USA basketball. And finally, Jalen Brunson and his new deal. So we got an all basketball centric podcast tonight. Not going to talk any football, which kind of sucks, but the football is coming. Trust me. So we're going to have that in the near future. And of course, we got the Olympics just down the road, maybe a couple weeks out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? The end of next week is the Olympics, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah. I can't wait for that. Olympic years are some of my favorites. Summertime is normally pretty rough for me once basketball is over, and then there's no football for like a month and a half. So I'm normally dying. But we got the Olympics, and that's going to take care of us. But before we get to any of that, and before we get into our topics, you know what time it is. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't wait. Let's get to it, man. So first topic, man. Obviously, we mentioned that the Olympics are starting up pretty soon here, and of course, you have the USA men's basketball team, and they've been established, and now they're practicing. They had their first I guess scrimmage or exhibition match, and they beat Canada the other day. And Kawhi Leonard was on that team, and it was a big deal. Why? Because Kawhi Leonard is consistently injured, misses a lot of time for the Clippers, and so what?
Yeah, Mr. Unavailability.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard.
Mm-hmm. So he misses a lot of time for the Clippers, and basically between the Clippers and USA Basketball, they decided, like, yeah, this is probably not the best move. And realistically, I'm not even mad at Steve Ballmer because I'm paying you hundreds of millions of dollars. You can't play for me, but you can go play for Team USA. Nah, son, you're not going to be able to do it. So he left the team, or was removed from the team, or whatever words you want to use. And as such, that opened up a spot, and Boston Celtics guard Derek White was named the replacement. And why is that a big deal? Because it appears that for the third time this year, Jaylen Brown has been snubbed from a team. First time he didn't make All NBA this year, right? He didn't make All NBA. He didn't make All NBA defense, and now he has not made the Olympic team. And so that opens up a lot of questions. People wondering what's going on, what's behind that. There's a lot to it. So before we kind of get started unpacking that and breaking it down, what are some of your thoughts on Jaylen Brown as a player, what we saw this year, and then why you think maybe he didn't make the team?
Jaylen Brown, as probably controversial as I'll say, I thought Jaylen Brown deserved to win the MVP in the finals over Jason Tatum, first and foremost. I would say that.
I go with Tatum.
I thought he was consistently better than Tatum was. Tatum takes a lot of shots, low field goal percentage. I just thought he was more consistent. And same thing with the Eastern Conference Finals as well, too. Tatum tends to have one good game, and then he disappears the next game. He'll have a 10 for 20 game, and then he'll have a 10 for 40 game the next game. But I think Tatum should be the better player, but Brown seems to consistently show up. With this situation, I don't know. I've heard rumblings of some people think he's just too smart for his own good, whatever that means. I think Stephen A said something like
He's
that.
super smart. He's
Yeah,
super smart.
that he's his own agent. He does his own signings for his contracts and stuff like that. I don't know what his political leanings are, so I don't know if that's it. I can't understand for the life of me
He
why.
leans more left politically.
Well, that would help, then I would think, if anything. Then so
there's a lot. There's a lot. We're gonna get into that. Yeah, no, so the first part, obviously, he's a very good player. He is consistently developed since he came into the league. Because remember, he came into the league after 1 year at Cal, and he was known mainly as a defender. Very athletic defensive wing, and then we saw that he's been able to consistently develop his offensive game while not really giving up too much on the defensive side of the ball. So he's had success there. So a very good player on both sides of the ball. I would agree with you in terms of him being the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, not necessarily on being the NBA Finals MVP. Tatum led the Celtics in points, rebounds, and assists, and was the only player in the finals with 2 30-point games. So I mean, I get what you're saying about a little more consistency from Jaylen Brown, but I would have gone with Tatum by a hair. And if they gave out Coles, I wouldn't be mad at Coles either. But yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot of different thoughts. Stephen A had talked maybe a couple of weeks ago about how some people feel like Jaylen Brown is not liked. Some of his sources said that, and he talked about it on First Take. And Jaylen Brown got a little irritated and gave he at one point wore a shirt that said "State your source." And let me say this: it's really irritating to me when you hear people who are trained journalists, and not this part, but they are trained journalists, and when they talk about something, they say "I've been told" or "sources tell me." And then you have people saying, well, state your source, put it out there, say a name. And I'm like, and I can tell you this as someone who went to journalism school and completed it and has worked as a trained journalist, you can't be out here stating your sources. The day you do that, you'll never have another one. So like, I don't know why people say, well, say a name, state your source. Like, that's not how that works. Likely the only people who know your source are you, the source, and maybe your editor. Depending on how diligent the editor is in vetting the information that you bring to him or her. So this state your source thing, nah, it's not really how it works. So anyway, he was saying, he being Stephen A was saying that some people feel like they don't necessarily like Jaylen Brown. He's very conscientious. He will speak his mind. He doesn't always go along with the program. You know what I mean? What does Kwame Brown say? Go along to get along. Is that what he says?
yeah.
Yeah, and Jaylen Brown he's not that guy. He's not that guy at all. So let's hear some of what was said. Well, I guess first we'll start off with Grant Hill and his comments on how they being the Olympic USA basketball came to replace Kawhi Leonard with Derek White, who is not a bad fit at all, real quick, because he doesn't need touches and he's going to defend and do all the little things. And so there's very little ego involved there because he's a role player. So that's not a bad fit, but you got 3 Celtics on that team and Jaylen Brown isn't one of them. That's kind of weird. But let's hear what Grant Hill had to say, then we'll come back.
You have to build a team. And one of the hardest things is leaving people off the roster that I'm a fan of, that I look forward to watching throughout the season, throughout the playoffs. Guys who've been finals MVPs, guys who've been a part of the program, guys who've won gold medals, guys who I respect, admire, and enjoy watching. But the responsibility that I have is to put together a team, and a team that complements each other, a team that fits, a team that will give us the best opportunity for success.
All right, so that all sounded good. And Reg, what up, man? I see you in the chat. Appreciate you stopping in, man. Stay with us. We got some good stuff tonight. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for checking out the show. If you're here and you're watching the show, by the way, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube, please make sure you like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. All right, so you heard what Grant Hill had to say, and it sounded good in terms of putting a team together. And like I said before that clip, Derek Brown is a very good fit because he's a guy who doesn't really need touches. He's going to defend. He's going to do all the little things. Doesn't need a whole lot of minutes. Not a whole lot of ego involved because he's a role player, even with the Celtics. But again, if you have a Kawhi Leonard on the team with what his role would be, Jaylen Brown is basically, he's a Kawhi Leonard-like type player, right? So why wouldn't you replace Kawhi Leonard with a player who can be a reasonable facsimile of what he provides? Your thoughts?
Well, if that's the case of what he's saying, he got somebody on the team that fits what the team needs, then why not get Derek White before you even put Kawhi Leonard on the team?
There you go. That too. Yo.
You replace Kawhi Leonard with somebody that is not a facsimile of Kawhi Leonard, Derek White. Jaylen Brown is more Kawhi Leonard than Derek White is. So I don't understand that thinking. Why would you go with Derek White instead of Jaylen Brown? And then not even to talk about, because I know we're going to get into it a little later about Kawhi Leonard's injury history. I just don't get the pick. It's got to be something against this dude, Jaylen Brown, for why they would pick Derek White. I mean, if I
have thoughts on that, and we'll get to it. I definitely have thoughts on it.
I can see if you said from the forefront, like the WNBA, when they said they didn't put Caitlin Clark on the team, it's like, well, we're prioritizing fit over what's popular right now. And if you did that at the beginning, okay, God bless. But you didn't do that at the beginning. You put Kawhi Leonard. It almost seems to try to put a popular player on the team, which is also a good fit too, if he's not injury prone. You put what's popular on the team versus what's better fit. Now you're backtracking and saying it's because of fit. It just doesn't side with me. I don't get it.
Nah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense with me either. So one of the things we heard was that there's a possibility that it has to do with Nike, and Nike being the outfitter for USA men's basketball, and I guess Team USA on the whole. So Jaylen Brown has been known to he has been critical of Nike in the past.
Really?
Yeah, especially when they came down on Kyrie, and he put out a tweet, something along the lines of, what was it? Since when do we care about ethics? And Jaylen Brown, he's not with any. He doesn't have a shoe deal, so when he wears Nikes, he apparently now covers up the swoosh or something to that effect. And so, we're hearing that. Yeah. Oh, R Fox, hot take. I'm taking Jaylen Brown over half the roster, including LeBron. I am not mad at that at all. That makes a lot of sense. A lot of people would think you're crazy, bro. Or they're going to say, oh, you just a hater. You just hating on another black man. That's going to be the line right there. But that's interesting, Reg. I'm not mad at that. But yeah, so the Nike thing could be an issue. And I believe the Odd Couple, Chris Broussard and Rob Parker, they talked about that a couple days ago. So let's hear what they had to say about it. Then we'll come back. And I got some more thoughts after that.
But Jaylen Brown, we've said it, Rob, rightly upset. Rob G, give us kind of the latest. He's blaming Nike.
Yeah, he's not buying what Grant Hill is selling.
And he's doubled down on it, right?
And Grant even said, I wore Filas most of my career.
Right.
So he kind of jokingly was saying it's not about Nike, but Jaylen's not buying it.
So you'll recall yesterday he did the monocle emoji, and then he did the at Nike, this is what we're doing. Well, on Thursday, he doubled down on it with another tweet saying, I'm not afraid of you or your resources. A direct shot at Nike, saying that Nike is the reason why he's not on Team USA, regardless of what Grant Hill says. And actually, The Athletic did a deep dive on this exact situation months ago, because according to them, Brown has had a rocky relationship with Nike for years now. We talked about the Kyrie Irving tweet that he put out where he said he questioned their ethics. He had an Adidas deal that expired 3 years ago, and he's so anti-conglomerate, according to this report, that he's never re-upped with another shoe company. And when he wears Nikes in games, he'll actually cover up the swoosh. That's how much he dislikes what they got going on over there. So if you believe Jaylen Brown, this has nothing to do with fit or chemistry or skill set. It has to do with him being anti-establishment when it comes to the swoosh.
Well, I'll say this, Rob. I'm not automatically dismissing what Jaylen Brown is saying, because we know business, politics, it's always lingering in the background somewhere. And Nike is a sponsor for Team USA. Most of the players on the team, I think all but 3 are Nike guys. And the last thing they want is for Jaylen Brown to be up on the podium with on the world stage and to say something about Nike. So I'm not dismissing that could have been a factor or maybe even the factor. I don't know, but I'm certainly not just throwing it out as an impossibility.
Yeah, I'm with you. We know that these things are all somewhat connected. So it's not a shocker. And they remember what people do and what people say and all kinds of stuff. And they know whether you're on board or not. Yep. And Jaylen is not on board, which is fine. And that's what you just have to deal with or live with, Chris, in some of these situations. But the idea that Derek White is replacing Kawhi Leonard, I understand all the role players and we need him to do he should have been on the team then. Why wasn't he on the team? Come on.
Right.
Come on, stop. You can't have it both ways.
So you heard what Rob Parker said towards the end of the clip there. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what you had said earlier. Like, why wasn't he on the team from the beginning? And now when Kawhi can't go, you pull him in and say, well, this is the guy that's a fit for this roster. Your thoughts on what the Odd Couple had to say, especially with the Nike piece?
Well, it pretty much goes with my thought process. It is a pageant. They wanted the best at the beginning. They wanted the best popular players up there. And when Kawhi had to go back home and nurse his knee, and they was like, no one we can't have anybody that's going to talk against Nike up here. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to go with Jaylen Brown, even though that seems like the obvious choice. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go with Derek White. Derek White's not going to say nothing controversial. He's just happy to be on the team.
Yeah.
He's happy to be anywhere. I don't want to say he's an NBA journeyman, but he's not Jaylen Brown by no close sense. Mm-hmm. So he's just going to be happy to be on Team USA. He's going to do everything we ask him to do. Mm-hmm. We might even give him a shoe contract somehow, little small shoe contract, maybe a little commercial if he shuts his mouth and does what he's supposed to do. So that makes total sense now. Right. After hearing what they had to say with Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is Kawhi Leonard 2.0, sounds like. Mm-hmm.
But he's going to speak, though. He's going to speak his mind. And see, I think the dangerous thing is you can't have anybody that you can't control because even though Kawhi is a New Balance guy, like most of us don't know what Kawhi Leonard's voice sounds like, right? Very few people know. He's not.
What his laugh sounds like.
Yeah. Yo, that was perfect. Yeah, he got that right. That was perfect. You sounded just like him. But yeah, Kawhi Leonard he's not a guy you have to worry about going up there and saying something controversial. Jaylen Brown, however, he may do that. He may have something to say about Nike. And more so to me, this was what I thought about. Jaylen Brown is an unabashed, unapologetic, and openly Muslim African-American man. This is him last
Taco
week.
Fall?
Yes, that's Taco Fall. Yes.
Okay, then.
So that's him last week making the Umrah pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca. And so this is one of the things I had thought about. And also, I think one of the reasons that what's this guy's Kyrie Irving didn't make the team. Because what happens if they're over there at the Olympics, which is supposed to be a world celebration of sport, but we know black athletes going back to there you go. Man, stop doing that. You read my mind, brother. Black American athletes going back to the 60s have used it as a platform to make powerful statements. Yeah. And so what happens if, and I thought about this with Kyrie, but now it makes sense with Jaylen Brown as well. What happens if they're over there and somebody asks the question about Palestine? Do you think those guys are right? Jaylen Brown is not gonna he's not gonna, bite his tongue. He's going to say what he feels and say honestly what most of the world feels. And so that could become problematic. And so USA basketball is like, look, man, this thing, the Olympics is a global celebration of sport. We're not trying to get into any political issues. We just want to go over there and ball, try to win the gold medal and come back home. And that, I think, played a huge role as well. So there's a Nike piece, but I also think there's the politics piece.
I just thought of something. Yeah, you're right. Kawhi Leonard's not going to say anything, so nothing controversial is going to come out of his mouth. So they had the right
Nothing
guy.
at all may come out of his mouth. he's not. Yeah, he doesn't talk. But yeah, that's what I thought about with the Jaylen Brown piece. And it's interesting though. Everyone is focusing on the Nike angle, and no one's even bringing that part up. I think Stephen A may have said, and we have a comment from Stephen A. I think on his show, maybe yesterday, he was discussing this topic, and he may have said something about he believes that Jaylen Brown is Muslim. He's not sure, but yeah, Jaylen Brown is without question a Muslim. So yeah, that may be the case. So let's hear what Stephen A had to say now, and then we'll come back.
Let's be sensible here. Explain to me how Jaylen Brown could be left off of Team USA in favor of Tatum, Holiday, and Derek White. 3 members of the Boston Celtics are on the team, and none of their names are Jaylen Brown. How can this be justified? This is no shade on Derek White. Derek White had a damn good season. Derek White is a glue piece. He fits with the team. Nobody's questioning the basketball decisions of a Derek White being on the team. What we're saying is, how is it that he fits but Jaylen Brown doesn't? Jaylen Brown can score. Jaylen Brown can shoot. Jaylen Brown can defend. Ladies and gentlemen, this ain't basketball. That's what I'm saying. This is not just a basketball decision. They took other things into consideration. Y'all could speculate about anything. Hell, it could be anything. But it ain't just basketball, because from a strictly basketball perspective, Jaylen Brown deserves to be on the team. His cryptic tweet with the eyeglass or whatever, like, what the hell is that decision about? Ladies and gentlemen, why would he do that? Why would Jaylen Brown do that? Those are his teammates on the team. Because he's given fodder. And then he said, and I got the quote here, to Nike, who he had beef with, like I pointed out. This is what we doing? Because Nike is believed to have a long-standing relationship with Team USA, and obviously they wield a significant level of influence. That could be a reason. I think it's also the fact that he was a conscientious observer and on the front line fighting on behalf of black people when the whole social justice movement was going on. It could be anything. I don't know, but it could be any of that. Hell, I heard, you got people talking about, is it his religious beliefs? Because they believe he's a Muslim. I'm not sure about that. But the point is, you have people in today's day and age, they'll hold anything against you from a marketing standpoint. I don't know.
So a lot of good points. What are your thoughts on what Stephen A had to say there?
I think it's still the Nike thing. Jaylen Brown will make controversial statements about Nike or anything. And to your point, that was a perfect point about if someone brought up Palestine, he sounds like he's going to speak his mind. I say he sounds like Kyrie Irving 2.0 to me. And even though Kyrie has seemingly calmed down, seems like in the last year or so, some people will say, "Oh, that's a great thing," or a bad thing, depending on your perspective. But Jaylen Brown, if he's the new carry-on of Kyrie Irving, then I can see why they didn't put him on the team. Not saying it's right, but from a corporation standpoint, I understand.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly it, right? Because at the end of the day, it's unfortunate, but we keep getting back to the same thing. It's all about money, man. In sports nowadays, the money is just too big. So we are so far gone from the days of competition, and we're so far gone from the days of purity of sports. Everything is about money, right? And so Nike, being the USA basketball outfitter and having that relationship with USA basketball, when they go overseas, that's a major opportunity again to have all of the best USA basketball players in one place. Most of them are Nike guys. So what? That's pushing Nike. And so Nike's not going to do anything to possibly ruin that and mess with the bread.
Yeah. I had a thought about it while we were talking about it. Now, you remember a few years back, I guess, and it was around 2020, might have been before that. I'm getting my dates mixed up, but of course, LeBron, we're going to break him up a little bit. LeBron says stuff, about social issues in America, dealing with him being a black guy, whatever. And, that's great and stuff. And then that China issue came about.
Yep. I remember that.
He got real quiet and he actually was standing up for China, going against the grain. And China, the NBA was trying to maintain a relationship with China so they can keep getting that bread.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were mad at LeBron saying, well, I thought you were for human rights for everybody. Now, all of a sudden, now you want to keep quiet.
Yeah.
And if he didn't keep quiet, if he did say something about China, he probably would be on the Olympic team too. Maybe.
Well, I think there's that, but then also remember he's a lifetime Nike athlete, and Nike has a lot. Nike got factories and workers in China. Nike does tons of money over there. China's the largest NBA consumer, right? Because they got about 1 billion people over there. They got 3 times our population. So, I mean, it's just it's too much money. You're not going to ruffle those feathers if you're LeBron. And it's very interesting to your point. He's supposedly a big social justice guy, a speak up about issues guy, and I haven't heard any mention from him about Palestine. But that's going to be what it is, right? I guess he's figuring what is there for me to benefit by bringing that up. I'm sure he feels like he's probably going to alienate a lot of people here in America. Although a lot of people here in America are, taking up the Palestinian cause. But anyway, I don't want to turn this into a political discussion. That can get dangerous.
The irony of that isn't that the same thing that he would throw shots at about Jordan about that?
Not him directly, but his fans, yes.
Indirectly.
But we also know that everything is different when it's LeBron. We know that. Come on now.
Well, he had a whole documentary, well, not about Jordan, but he had some pieces in the documentary he did some years ago bringing up that fact about Jordan not saying anything in the 90s about some political stances. I mean, kind of directly, but he put it in the documentary, Jordan in there about, not standing up about, I guess, political stances or race stances or whatever in the 90s.
Again, man, it's always different when it's LeBron, right? That's how this works. It's not the same. We can't possibly think that we're going to hold LeBron to the same standards as his fans hold to other people to. We can't. What's wrong with you? Come on, man.
Yeah, you don't hold kings at the same standard as you do as these lower people.
These peons.
What am I thinking?
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, King LeBron. I'm sorry.
There you go. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead. We're going to open up these phone lines now, 904-219-8264, 904-219-8264. Go ahead, give us a call. We'd love to hear your thoughts on was Jaylen Brown snubbed? Do you think it was the right move not to put him on the team? If he was snubbed, why do you think that is? What do you think of our thoughts and our what we suspect are the reasons for Jaylen Brown not making the team? That's 904-219-8264. Let's get it. Yeah, Jaylen Brown, he's not happy. And I think what makes it even worse, he's like, I didn't make All-NBA. I didn't make All-NBA defense. I got conference finals MVP, NBA finals MVP, and they still doing this to me. I know he got to be like, damn. And I was talking to my other homeboy about this maybe yesterday or the day before, I think. I think Jaylen Brown, if he doesn't get hurt, is going to be an absolute animal next year because he's going to be so pissed off. And I tell you what, even in practice, even though he don't have beef with Tatum, from everything we've heard, they seem to have a good relationship. I think he's going to be going at Tatum. And in the back of his mind, he's going to be like, I'm better than you and I'm going to kill you. You know what I'm saying? Here we go. Come on, Nino. Come on, man. Reg, what's good, my man? How you doing?
What's good, man? I told y'all I was gonna call back, man. Y'all got me hooked, man.
Oh,
great content,
that, brother.
But yeah, man. He got every right to feel how he feels because he's deserving, and not to make it about him or his teammates, but he's definitely deserving, man. He got the accolades, qualifications. He's born here. He carries himself, how he needs to represent the country.
That's right.
But it's just too much on the business and political side.
Yeah,
so
man.
He's getting the short end of the stick. And I mean, when you don't toe the line, that's the price you got to pay, And his character is not a total line type of guy. So even though he's snubbed, people are going to be on his side because they see it for what it is. Like, you had how LeBron, none of the other guys took up for Kyrie. And he's like the president of the Players Union or something.
I believe he is.
thought Chris Paul was.
I think it's Jaylen Brown now.
Oh, okay.
I think. Don't quote me, but I believe so.
Yeah, so he went to fight for his player against the. I don't know. I don't want to say the J word on your show because I don't want to.
Don't do that. Leave that
get
alone.
any stripes, but
Yeah.
he went against that powerful group for his fellow players. So that he stands for something.
Mm-hmm.
And then to go out and continue to win and be a champion, y'all can strip him of everything, but y'all can't strip him of the man that he is, and everybody see it.
That's right.
You know. So I'm gonna leave it there, man. Great show. Still listen.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much, Reg.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate your call, brother. Stay with us. All right, Nino, go ahead. Give us a call back, man. I saw you calling. Give us a call back. Let's hear what you guys say. I'm trying to look up right now who is the president of the NBA Players Association. Let's see if we can find leadership.
CJ McCollum.
Okay, that's not bad at all. So how do we get? Okay, so Jaylen Brown is the vice president, so that's where we got that from. Okay. Oh, Grant Williams is a vice president as well. Nice. Okay. Look like they got some sharp brothers on that leadership committee. Nino, looking for you, brother. Call me back, man. Donovan Mitchell. Okay. It's good. But yeah, I think I definitely think that man, there's the business and the politics, there's no way around it. Anytime you're dealing with people and then large sums of money get involved, business and politics, that's what it's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what it's gonna be. Nothing you can do about that.